Okay, so hi Sanju, welcome. So
Hi, sir.
are
Good
you ready
afternoon.
for a mock interview?
Hi, sir.
Okay, so before starting, let me just give you a few instructions. Basically, this is going to be a mock interview and will be recorded and then uploaded in YouTube. Okay. And
Okay.
second thing is, don't feel nervous. If you don't know the answer, you can ask me for the skip. Okay, or else
Okay.
I will clarify your doubt. And that is a
Okay.
and yeah. So are you okay with that? Are you fine with that?
Hi, sir. No
Okay,
problem.
great. Okay, so then let us start. So I have gone through your profile and I can see you have 3 years of experience on manual testing as well as on automation testing using Selenium. So I
Yes,
have
sir.
framed some of the questions which I'm going to ask you. Okay, so before starting, can you just introduce yourself?
Myself, Sanju Kumbar from
Okay,
Karnataka. I'm
okay.
from Chikkodi, from Karnataka. And
Mhm.
I completed my graduation in 2014 in Government Engineering College, Haveri.
Okay.
And post-graduation in HR Institute of Technology, Bangalore.
Mhm.
Just I'm working in this, one company as a software test engineer.
Okay.
And here that's thing. Past 3 years I worked as a software test engineer in.
Okay, great. All right. So yeah, now can you explain your testing process you followed in your company?
Yes, sir. I am following Agile methodology
Okay.
in our current project. In sprint meeting, we are attending sprint meeting before starting that project. Sprint meeting, we are a scrum master and developers and testers and with client to understand sprint planning first, which is designed by the scrum master. And after that, team lead assign the user stories. We'll go through that, understand this user stories.
Okay.
If any KT required, we will get it. And prepare test scenarios and test cases. And yeah, and we review the test cases with team lead.
Okay.
And after developer release the build, we execute test cases and
Okay.
find the defects. We update in Jira. And after developer fixed the bug, we retest it and regression test it. If it's fixed means we close it. If it doesn't fix means we will reopen it. And sprint
Okay.
backlog, some defects are found in sprint meeting. Sprint means we will upcoming sprint we have to follow that the
Okay.
bugs.
Okay.
And
Great. Yeah.
we daily scrum meeting we are following.
Okay.
And
Sure.
this is
Yeah.
the manual test.
Yeah. Great. All right. So why do you test software? What is the main purpose of software testing?
Main purpose is to here any software means we have to quality of the software. Without we release the software means it has so many bugs or something happens. So customer someone they got a product means they want the quality of the software. So we want a test. Without testing it's not possible to release the product. If release means we will get so many bugs on that. So we
Okay.
want that to test.
Okay. So finally, we want to release a quality product to the customer, right? So that's the main
Yes, sir.
objective of conducting testing. All right.
Yes,
So
sir.
how we will write your test cases?
Uh, in Excel sheet, we are writing Excel sheet scenarios. First, we write a test scenarios.
Okay.
After that, we have to test cases
Mhm.
and test steps. There are
Okay.
many test steps. And
Okay.
after that, we will validate the bugs in that.
Okay. So before writing the test cases, what are the documents you will refer? What is the input for you to write the test cases?
Input
How we will know the
inputs or
functionality?
fields.
Yeah. Yeah. So how we will
Fields
know the
that
functionality of how we will know the functionality of our application? So before writing the test cases.
uh, I can't understand that's
No problem. So let's say I have given one application, right?
okay.
So I ask you to write some test cases. On what basis you will
Okay.
write the test cases? How we will start? Let's say there is
First
no
we will
application. Okay, there assume that there is no application at all. Okay, so you
okay.
want to, before conducting the testing, right? Before executing the test cases, you have to write some test cases for your application.
Okay.
So how we will write the test cases? What is the prerequisite? How we'll start?
Before there is a user stories is there. In
Okay.
that with the user stories we write a test scenarios.
Okay.
First to understand that user stories, it contains all the details of the applications.
Okay.
And we write a test scenarios first and review the test scenarios, if how many test scenarios, and after that test cases we will write.
Okay.
And this is the process we are.
Okay, great. Yeah. All right. So how will you ensure you are written all the test cases for your requirement or not? Whether your test cases covered all the requirement or functionality or not? How you will ensure that?
In the user stories, all the functionalities and all the they are covered. If we check with the user stories, if anything we are missing means we can go through RCN. So if
What
any mistakes in that found means we will go through RCN.
what is that? Can you just elaborate? What is that? RCM?
RCN, requirement clarification note.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yes, sir.
Okay.
This is this is
So,
for if any thing missing means we will write what are the missing here in this application.
yeah.
What are the missing in the user stories? We'll go through that. That's
And when you will prepare that, so while writing the test cases, after completion of your test cases or execution, when you prepare for the document?
at the time of execution, we
Execution.
will get it.
At the time of execution, will
After
you? Yeah, okay.
yes, sir.
Okay, but before that, while writing your test cases, let us say you have some stories. Let's say you have assigned 10 stories or 5 stories,
Yes.
and you have
Okay.
created 100 test cases. So how you will
Yes,
ensure those 100 test cases are covered all 5 stories? And do you track somewhere?
We only user story. We go through only user stories, sir. If
Only
anything
user.
missing means we'll
Do
avoid
you
that.
know anything about traceability matrix?
Yes, sir. It's a mapping between. If we are checking that if one test scenario contains test cases, we mapping between test cases and test scenarios. That's
All right.
the main thing.
All right, right. So this will give you the clarity, right? So how whether you covered all the requirements in your test cases or not. So you need to track them into requirement traceability matrix. Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how will you start executing your test case? So how will you start? Okay, so you have test cases are created. So immediately will you
Okay.
start execution? Like, is there any process involved in that?
No, sir. We start with the execution. Whatever the user stories are there, we are start execution and find the defects.
No, before
What are
starting
the
execution. So before starting execution, so what are the activities you do? So before starting execution. So what is the main criteria should be matched? So before starting execution, suppose you have test cases in your hand, okay, but when you will start execution?
after build released by the developers, we will start executing a test cases.
Okay, so
Whatever the test cases.
okay, so is that only the criteria or anything else?
Nothing, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so
No.
after writing the test cases, will you review them with your team lead or
Yes.
team peer reviews?
We will review with the team lead.
Okay,
Yes.
so will you get any sign off of your test cases from anyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so will you get any approval for your test cases?
Yes, sir. My team first there is a review called peer review,
Yes.
self review, peer review, team review, manager
Okay.
and review. There is
Okay.
4 types of review will
Yeah.
happens
Yeah.
after that.
So before execution, so you need to first review yourself, and then you need to review with your team, and then you should get the approval from the lead, right? Corresponding people who are is there in your team. And then once you get a build from the developer, and then you will start executing your test cases. Okay. So you don't execute test cases immediately on the build. So all these things should be satisfied first initially, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So suppose let's say you're executing your test cases and you found a bug. Okay, what is the process you follow? What will you do? So as soon as you found some bug on your application, what you will do?
When I found a bug, we will update in Jira tool as a new status as a new, and we will rise in Jira tool. We will do it, and first that assigned to that bug will assign to if we know the developer who is build that build, and will assign directly. Otherwise, we'll assign to the direct lead. We send it to the lead.
Okay, so suppose let us say,
Developer lead.
okay, so as soon as you found the bug, immediately will you report it, or do you take any necessary action before reporting the defect?
No, just I assigned directly actually.
Okay, so do you check that functionality multiple times, only once? Let's
We
say,
will check it.
okay, right. So you need to check multiple times, right? So immediately you don't
Yes, sir.
report the bug. You need to check
Yes.
on all other aspects also. Maybe it can be environmental issue, or it can be browser version compatibility issue, right? So there are
Yes, yes,
multiple
sir.
reasons may have, right? So you
Yes, sir.
need to
Yes.
check all these things, and you need to at least check 3 times. And every time it is
Yes, yes.
reproducible in every platform, in every machine, it is reproducible. Then you need to consolidate all the steps, right? And the log
Yes,
files,
yes.
screenshots, and whatever is required for the developer. You need to first
Yes,
collect all that information, and finally you report the bug. Okay, so you need
yes,
to
yes.
take these necessary steps before raising the bug to the developer. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
let's say you have reported a bug to the developer, and then
Yes.
developer is not accepted that is a bug. And then what you will
Okay.
do? What you will do?
I will go through that. If it's not a bug means we'll check it what's the happening in that. Otherwise we can't go through that. Again we will check it. But actually, if developer told me it's not a bug means I will
What you
we
will do? What is the next action you will take? And developer is saying
will.
it's not reproducible in their environment. Okay,
Okay.
and they come back and ask you to close your defect. And but
Yes.
as per your opinion, let's in your environment there is a defect, it is reproducible,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
In that case there is a conflict, so how we can resolve that conflict?
Uh, if we are checking that if this module, this particular functionality which is related to the other, if that we will check it, then we clarify the whatever the doubts we have.
Okay,
Clarify application is very important. That's
okay, so in that situation will you contact with anyone else apart from the dev and the QA? So do you guys will talk to some other guy,
as a team lead. We always
team,
communicate with the team lead,
and only team lead, or anyone else is there?
and also scrum masters,
Okay, and who else?
managers. Like,
So basically you need to talk with the owner, like product owner, whoever is giving the feature, right? Whoever is writing the story, they know exactly the functionality of the application, right? So if they
okay.
decided that is a bug, that's sure that is a bug,
Okay.
the developer should accept it. Okay, it's not
Okay.
an opinion about your developer or tester. So before
Oh,
the feature coming to the development and testing, so the product owner, he's designed all the features from the customer, right? So he has
okay.
to give the judgment at the end. So, right, so you
Okay.
need to talk
Okay.
to the team, and properly you need to communicate, and then resolve that issue. Okay,
Yes.
all
Yes.
right. Okay, so let me just give you one scenario. So do you know about priority and hierarchy, priority and
Prior
severity?
serious. Yes, sir.
Severity, right? What is the priority and what is the severity?
Priority means it's a high level requirement. High level customer requirement
Okay,
means how much it affects on the business services. That's called priority. And severity means how much soon we have to uh, close the bugs. That's called severity. That's called
okay,
severity.
okay. Let me just clarify it. So priority is
Mm,
basically talking about the time. So how well,
okay.
like how much soon, like we need to close the defect or bug. And severity is talking about the like functionality, like impact or seriousness of
Mm,
the feature, right? How much it is important to the customer. So that is all about severity, right? So for example, let me give you a scenario. Let's say an application is there, and in the application there is a logo. Okay, and that logo, the color is slightly different. Whatever you expecting, the same logo is present on the application, but slightly the color is different. Okay, or I can say there is a spelling mistake in the company. Let's say in the logo, there is a company name also included in the logo. That is a spelling mistake. and that is present in the home page. Okay, and which category it comes under, like how you will give the priority and higher severity to that particular bug. Hello. Okay, can you hear Sanju? Can you hear me?
Sir.
Can you hear
Yes,
me?
I am.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay. So do you understand the scenario? So there is a logo in your application, and
yes,
the
sir.
logo is slightly different or than
Okay.
your expectation. So how we
Okay.
will give you the priority and severity for that particular bug?
It will give us a high priority because we we can we will give medium priority because we can test other functionality other than that logo.
Medium priority. Okay. So what about the severity?
Severity, yes, sir, but we have to give high severity, medium severity, as per same severity also same. That's
So okay. Why you give why you give high severity or medium severity to that?
because here that's a mainly thing is that high severity means there is a without that functionality we can't proceed the other test
No,
without
I'm
that
talking about
functionality.
just logo. So without logo also you
Logo.
can continue with the testing, right? So logo is not
Ah,
impacting any
yes, sir.
other function.
Yes,
Just it is a logo,
yes, yes,
right?
yes, sir, yes, sir.
So how come it will be the high severity? Because we are able to proceed, right?
Yes,
Only
yes,
the logo, the color, and there is a spelling mistake in the logo, right? Without that also we can
yes,
proceed. So
yes,
it will not be the high severity, right? It will
yes,
be
yes, yes,
a low
yes,
severity, right?
yes,
Because it is there in home page, and
yes,
that
yes,
is high priority, because as per the customer point of view that should be there properly, right? In the home page, if the logo is
yes,
incorrect or the color is not good, right? So
yes,
it should be high priority, but
yes,
the functionality features are working fine, there is no blocking, we are able to continue the testing, so it could be the low severity. Okay, so let me just give you one more scenario. Let's say application is crashing in some page. Let's say you have 5 to 10 pages are there. In somewhere, in some corner page, application is crashing. Okay, and very rare case, and not every time it is happening, and very rare scenario, and there is application crash in particular page, and you are not getting, you are not that application is not crashing every time, but very corner case, very sometimes it is crashing. Okay, then how we will give the priority and severity for that bug?
It will crashes the other functionality else, right?
Yeah.
Means I will give as a high priority for that, and also high severity.
Can you just come again? High severity. What is the
In
severity for
high,
that bug? High severity. And come on,
yes,
let's say a priority. What is the priority?
high.
Will high priority. Why it is high priority?
It crashes that application. That's why means it will affect on other functionality also. That's why I have
It's
given
not
high.
impacting other functionality. Let's say there's a different page. Okay, there is no
Okay,
dependency, and
okay,
that is crashing in very rare
okay,
case, not every time.
okay,
Okay, some very
okay,
corner it is crashing, and you are not
okay,
blocking with that crash also. Okay, you're not blocking,
okay,
you're able to test all other functionalities, you're not
okay,
blocking with that, but sometimes that
okay,
page is getting crashed in very rare cases,
okay,
corner scenario.
okay. I'll give as a low severity for low priority, but we have to pass that low severity, low priority.
No, actually the application crash, right? So let's say in initial days of testing, that may not
Okay,
impact any other function, but still the application crash, right? If the customer in customer environment or in the production, if the crash is happening, right, so there's a big impact on this, right? So that should be high severity. But in the
okay,
priority wise is a low priority, because you are able to test other functionalities, right? You're
okay,
able to test other functionalities, and that's not a high priority, it's a low priority that it can be fixed later also, before going for the production or before releasing the customer. you have to fix it. But at the initial days, it's not that much priority because you are able to test all other functionalities, and moreover, that crash is happening in very rare case, at the corner case, right? So you can just give high severity and the low priority basically. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah. Do you know anything about defect resolution?
No, sir.
Okay. Defect resolution. Okay. Let's say, suppose you reported a defect to the developer, right?
Yes.
And what is the feedback developer will give you normally about your defect?
They will developers actually, if it's a bug, means if it is a bug means they will proceed it. Otherwise, they will they put some status as a it's not a bug, like that. They may say like that. They
Right.
will do this way.
Right. Yeah, that is basically the opinion of the developer about your bug,
Yes,
right? As soon as you
yes,
report the bug, developer may accept or may not accept, or
yes,
they can schedule the bug, or they may fix in the upcoming release or next upcoming builds.
yes,
Sometimes they may reject, right?
yes, yes,
And
yes.
sometimes they can say that is an enhancement, and or sometimes they can say it is a duplicated bug. So these are all different resolutions, right? So it's a different type of opinion from the developer. Basically, we can call it as a resolution types. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So as I said, you worked on Agile environment. So can you just tell me what is the difference between epic, story, and task?
No? Yes.
What is the difference between epic, story, and task?
Epic is nothing but a collection of user stories.
Okay.
And a story means uh, only one story or one user stories.
Okay.
And task means in that story some sub modules in that.
Can you just comment what is story? What story contains?
The story is nothing but module by module. We are user stories.
Okay. And
So
what is
contains
task? What is task?
task contains in this user stories so many tasks are there, so low level requirements, customer requirement in that.
Okay. Let me just correct it. So basically, as I said, epics is a collection of stories. Basically, epic is talking about the huge requirement, is a bigger requirement.
Yes.
Okay. And we cannot test the huge requirement at a time. So we need to split that into multiple parts, which we can call them as a stories or user stories. We can simply say epic is a larger requirement and epic is a smaller requirement, right? So or epic, we can say a collection of user stories. So user stories basically talks about the requirement or functionality of your application, right? Or the user story is talking about, let's say, a feature. So for that user story, you will create a different tasks, developer, tester. So developer is having their own task and tester is also having their own task. Let's say they have assigned some user story to you or requirement to you. So what are the different tasks you will create for that particular story as a tester, as a QA tester, as an automation tester? What are your tasks will be created for that user story? Task is basically an activity. Okay, so task is basically an action or activity to be done on that particular story, right? As a QA, as a tester, you need to add some tasks and you need to complete those tasks during the sprint, right? So what are the common tasks you will create for that story?
Common.
So let's say I have assigned a story to you, okay, and you need to test that story, right? For that, what are the different tasks you will do as part of testing?
Different tasks.
Yeah. What are the different activities you do for testing for that particular story?
In this
you write a test case. Yeah, no problem, so no issues. So as soon as you got one user story, right, you will take the ownership of that story, right? You need to analyze the requirement, you need to understand that story very clearly. Okay, understanding, that's one activity you do for initial level, and then you will write your test cases for that particular story, and you need to review those test cases, right? And you will execute your test cases on the build, and then you will automate those test cases. So these are all different tasks you need to do for that particular story, right? So we will create these tasks as a tester and developer. So these people will create the task at the time of planning meeting, sprint planning meeting. So whatever stories they have assigned to you, you are the responsible to complete the story till it goes to the production. That is all about Agile, right? So you need to take care of that particular story because you are the owner of the story. So you need to do everything, all the activities. They are basically written in the form of tasks. At the time of creating the task itself, you will give the estimation to the story, like how many hours, how many days it will take. Along accordingly, you will give some estimation, and accordingly will prepare the tasks. Okay, so these are all part of the Agile process. Okay, okay. So do you know what is sprint meeting or sprint meeting? Sprint review meeting. So when you will have a sprint review meeting?
After completion of sprint, we'll sprint review meeting.
Okay.
What are the defects we can produce? We have to sprint backlogs. What are the sprint backlogs are there? So
Okay.
in previous sprint, how many defects we found we can do in next upcoming sprint. We all discuss about what are the how many bugs we found, how many scenarios we found. We all discussions about will happen on that.
Okay.
What we have to do.
Okay. Okay. Great. So what is story point?
Story point means rough estimation of the sprint plan.
Yeah. So for every story, you will estimate, right, how many hours it will take to complete. That's basically calculated in the story points.
Yes.
All right. So what is Scrum board?
Scrum board.
Yeah. What it contains, basically. What is a Scrum board contains?
Scrum board contains in Scrum there is some process we are following. In that developers, testers, and Scrum master, project owners will come.
Okay.
In that Scrum.
I'm not talking about Scrum meeting. Actually, I'm talking about Scrum board. So do you see the Scrum board somewhere in Jira or some other tool? Scrum board. Sir. Yeah, it's a kind of a dashboard. So what it contains basically, where you track your Agile activities? Yeah. Like in Agile, in the dashboard, what you will see in the dashboard, basically in the Agile, what you will see in the dashboard?
In that epics and
stories, and what are the stories are planned for the sprint, and what is the to-do list, right? And what are the stories are in progress, for what are the stories are developed and tested, released, right? You will track all the stories, right? So you will have a list of stories, and the story is having a certain status, like where exactly the story is there, whether it's progress or it is blocked or it is completed, where you will see that status, where you will track that status of the story. Basically in the Scrum board, right? In the Scrum board, everyone will track their stories, right? Because every story is having their own activity. Let's say you have one story, and as a tester, you have some activities to be done for the story. Let's say you have some tasks to be completed for the story, and from the developer side, developer also should complete their task for the story, right? So until unless the developers and the testers, all the tasks are completed, you cannot move that story to the completed, right? So in between, it will go through certain stages. Like initially it will be planned, and then it will go to the to-do list, and then it will go to progress, and then develop, tested, and then completed. So all these things will be tracked in the Scrum board. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So these are all some basic questions I have asked related to manual testing and Agile process. Now let us move on to the programming part. Okay. So let me ask some questions from Java. So how much rating can you give on Java programming yourself?
Up to 5 or 10.
Out of 10. Out of 10, how much rating you can give?
For Java?
Yeah.
6.5.
6.5. Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. Let me ask some questions.
Yes.
Okay. Let's say I have a two strings, and how we can compare those strings? How we can compare two strings?
With the help of comparing expected with the help of expected and actual, we will take a string string object reference name is equal to some string name.
Okay.
String some object reference name other string, and we will expected conditions and equals like that we will compare.
No. In Java, let's say I have a two strings. I have two strings. Let's say
Okay.
string1 str equal to something, let's say welcome, and str2 equal to again say welcome. There are two string variables I created. So I want to check whether they are equal or not. So how we can compare and check whether equal or not?
Have no ideas.
Okay, no problem. So equals method. Do we have an equal method in Java? String. Are you aware of string methods? Equals, equal, ignore
No,
case,
no,
right?
no, sir.
Okay, no
Method
problem.
I.
So basically, if you want to compare the two strings, we use equals method. In Java, we have two methods are available, basically equals and equals ignore case. So when I use equals method, it will also differentiate like uppercase and lowercase characters. Let's say if I give string1 welcome, all are in uppercase characters. In string2, let's again one more value welcome, which is in lowercase characters, will be treated differently when I use equals method. Right? If you want to ignore the case sensitivity, then you can go with the equals ignore case method. Okay, so we use the some string methods to compare the two strings. Okay, so do you know about overloading concept in Java?
Yes.
Yeah, what is overloading?
Overloading means same method name and different parameters we are using for called overloading.
Okay, okay, and same method with the different parameters. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so can we overload main method?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is the overriding?
Overriding means same method name and same parameters.
Same parameters. And anything else?
Yes.
And okay, so when do you use overloading and when do you use overriding?
Overriding whenever there is a duplicacy in the methods, then we go for overriding. And overloading means we want that we don't want duplicacy. We want to reduce that size of the code. So we go for method overloading.
No, let me just clarify it. So overloading in the basically we read the multiple methods with the same name. So the name of the method is same in case of overloading or overriding. So in overloading is basically related to polymorphism because we will have a different implementations. In overloading concept, let's say you have created three methods and all three methods are created for adding numbers. So like one method you can add two numbers, and another method you can add three numbers. In third method you can add three numbers, right? So here each and every method implementation will be different. Only method name, number of parameters will be different, and implementation also different. Method overloading, so you can create any number of methods by changing the number of parameters or data type of parameters. That is overloading concept. Even in the single class also we can overload methods, right? But in overriding, which will come inside the inheritance concept, at least you need to have one parent and a child class. So when overriding come into picture, suppose in the parent class there is a method which is already implemented, but if you want to recreate that method in the child class by changing the definition, by changing the implementation, you can recreate the same method in the child class. And in the child class you don't change the definition like return type, name of the method, number of parameters, you don't change, but only you will change the implementation part, right? So that is basically called as a overriding, right? So overloading is possible with single class, with multiple classes. Even in inheritance also overloading is possible, but overriding is possible only with inheritance. At least you need to have a one parent and one child class. Okay, yeah, right. So do you know about final keyword in Java? Final keyword, what is the, yeah, where you use, what is the use of final keyword? Let's say I have created a class as a final, or when I create a method as a final, or we can create a variable as a final. Okay, so what is the use of final?
Whenever for the security purpose we are using final.
Okay,
for the security.
okay.
In the variables we are using means we can in another method we can't access that.
Which one?
In the method, another methods.
Okay, okay, let's start with the variable. Okay, just a moment, let me start with the variable. Let's say I created one variable and I have given the final keyword for that variable. Okay, then what happens?
That variables will secure, sir. It in the other method it can't access that another method. In another method where some variables are there, we finalize it, that variables. In another method we can't access that.
Okay, are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's say go to the method. Suppose let's say
Okay.
method is a final. A method is a
Okay.
final method. So then
Okay.
what is the use of it? When I say method is a final, then what will happen?
In method, in another method we can't access that, but in class we can access that. We can, I
And what
think.
about the class? When I say class is a final, then what will happen?
We can't inherit that class.
Okay. So let me just clarify. So when I
Okay.
create a variable as a final, right? As
Okay.
I said, that is
Okay.
a security purpose. But when I create a variable as a final, the value of the
Okay.
variable is constant. The value we
Okay.
cannot change anywhere else, even in the same
Oh.
method or other method or anywhere, even though if you're able to access, but you
Okay.
cannot change the value of the variable. So when I say
Okay.
a final variable, and similarly, when I say a method as a final, okay, that method cannot be override in the child class. That's a kind of a security, right? If you don't want to allow anyone to override that method in the child class, then you can make it as a final method. So that method cannot be override in the child class. And then,
I connected with more.
okay, so when you create a variable as a final, right? So that variable
Okay.
value is a constant. You cannot change that value. Similarly, when you create a method as a final, you cannot override that method in the child class. Suppose when
Okay.
you create a class as a final, right? Final class,
Okay.
that class cannot be extended into another class. That means we cannot
Yes.
inherit on that method, the class into another class. Okay, that is a usage of final keyword.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, and yeah,
Okay.
so how much you are good in programming? Can you write a
Uh,
simple basic program? Let me just
yes.
say, okay, let me just, and do you have a notepad with you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just can you open your notepad, and
Okay.
then I have a string, right? Just write a code to reverse a string. Just I want to reverse a
Okay.
string,
Okay.
or you
I
can
will
share,
share the screen.
yeah, you can share your screen. You can share your screen, and you can write the code.
Is it visible, sir?
Yeah. You can take any editor or notepad or Eclipse, whatever it is. You can just write a logic.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So just take a string, let's say string str equal to, let's say, uh, welcome in the double quotation, and just I want to reverse the string.
Name.
You can take welcome in the double quotations. You can have welcome. So just I want to reverse the string.
I will. There is two methods, sir. First, I will go through one method.
Okay.
Which
Okay. Okay, I got it. Okay. Can you just explain that logic, what, how you're writing that code? Just explain
yes,
only,
sir.
explain just only for loop, how you're repeating the loop there.
Here, sir.
Okay.
In this for loop string, yes, I have taken a string here.
Okay.
This one is for only we are reversing that with the help of here for
Okay.
loop. We take as a string. Yes, it start from 0, sir.
Okay.
And when it str dot length means whatever the length of the string, how many numbers of letters are there.
Okay.
So in that letters it will count, and in this char ATI is there. It will start with the 1 and 2, 3. You will get and store in the ch variables in that
Okay.
ch, and nstr means it will first it will print a nstr, and it will come back to the ch whatever the character. Last it will start with the last nstr
Okay.
with this one. Will It will store, and we will get output for this.
Okay. Do you have a semicolon for loop?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Just
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it is basically a block, right? So you need to first take the last character from the string, right? So and that character should be added to the reverse string. So you're initially you're taking the empty string value. Let's say nstr is empty, is not having any value. So you're retrieving the last character from a string and add that into or concatenate that character to the string, new string. Similarly, you're reading all the characters one by one from the end, right? So as soon as the number of character length becomes 0, and then you will stop repeating the loop, and finally that variable nstr contains the reverse string.
Yes.
Is that your logic? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. This is approach. Do you know any other approach?
Another one is string buffer method. We can do it.
Okay, so in the string buffer, we have a reverse method directly available, so we can do that. Okay, this is a logic. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. So can you just write one more program? Let's say I have an array which contains let's say I take 5 elements, or I can take like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I want to find the sum of those elements. So the total of those elements. How we can write the logic?
Array is there.
Yeah. Is an array which contains let's take 5 elements or 5 numbers, and I want to find the sum of those values.
Sum of those values.
Yeah, you can take any number of values. You can say, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You take 5 different numbers. You can take any numbers randomly also, no problem. You can take 5, 10, 20, 30 like that. Just take 5 random numbers, and we need to find out the total of the array elements.
I don't have ideas like this.
No problem. So basically we need to let me just tell you the very high level logic, and if you're not aware, no problem, you can just go through my playlist which is created all logical programs on Java, especially arrays, like how to find the total numbers. The program is already available. You can just go through that, you will be able to understand. And let me just tell you very high level. Let's say if you want to find total of all the elements, first we need to read all the values from array one by one. So you need to write a loop statement. Okay, so by using that loop, you need to read individual values one by one and add that value into a variable. You will take another variable, let's say an integer sum or total, and we need to extract the first value from array. Okay, index, by using index, we can extract the value from array, right? In the loop, first value we need to extract, add that into a temporary variable, or take another variable, again add it, take another variable, just another value, just add it. So like this, you need to repeat the loop till you complete all the values from array. And once the loop is done, loop is completed, finally the variable, whatever variable you have taken sum, that contains a total value. Okay, that is a very high level logic I have explained. And if you want to go through the detailed program, just go to my Java programming playlist. Okay, you can find the program there.
Yes. Thank you.
All right, sure, great. So do you know about collections, Java collections?
Yes, sir.
So what are the, can you just give some names, or what are the different collections you know in Java?
In collections, there is we have to store the value we are using.
No, I'm just asking what are the different types of collections?
Collection.
Yeah, what are the different type of collections? Yeah.
First one is list, set, and queue. These are the three collections.
There are many types of collections, like list, set, like hash map. These are very popular ones. All right. So all right. So when you will use collections in Java, what is the use of collections?
To store the number of values in a single entity, then we go for collections. So
values in the sense, what kind of values?
Like keys and values. Otherwise, in the variables we are storing that, and we are going for that list. There is a list of elements are there. Then we go for that collections.
Yeah. So if you just want to represent a group of elements or objects, it can be objects. Let's say values in the sense you can store primitive types also. Let's say you can store integers, right? Floats or decimal numbers or strings, characters, boolean. So these are all primitive types you can store. And apart from that, we can also store group of objects. Like say I have multiple objects which are created for employee class, right? Or animal class. There are so many objects are created. So I want to store all the objects into a single entity, right? As a group. So then I can go with the collections, right? So what is the difference between list and set collections? Do you see any differences between these two collections?
In the list, there is no insertion order allowed, and duplication are also not allowed. In list, both insertion and deletion option are available. That's the main difference.
Okay, so in the list is allowed or not?
List allowed.
Can we store duplicates in the list?
Yes.
Okay.
Allowed.
Okay. In set collection?
Not allowed.
Okay, not allowed. Okay. Okay. Suppose I have a list. So I have few elements are there in my list. So I want to extract a specific element or specific object or value from that list. How we can extract? How we can get from the list?
With the help of we want extracting that list, sir. With the help of for extracting so many elements or single?
No, only single element.
Single element.
Yeah.
I have no idea. This.
Okay. Do you know about get method? Get from the list collection? Yeah. So when I say collection name dot get off, we need to just pass the index. Okay, and that will retrieve the value. And in case of set, how we can extract the value from the set? Is it possible?
Only we have to mention that collection, sir.
Yeah.
And our variable name.
Collection dot get of index of the element. So because in
list mention that collection.
Yeah, collection object you will create, right? So that collection object dot get of the index of the element, because in list index will be maintained, right? Every element. But in case of set, how we can extract? In set, how we will get a specific value from the set?
Same get method.
Is it okay? Is it possible?
Yes.
No, in set it is not possible to get a specific element, okay? Because we don't have a get method in the set collection. So that reason is in list the insertion order is preserved. So means what? In whichever the way you have inserted values, in the same order, the elements will be stored in the list. That means index will be maintained. For every element, there is an index. So by using that index, you can specify that index in the list and you will be able to extract it. But in case of set collection, the insertion order is not preserved. Okay, in whichever order you inserted the elements, it will not be maintained the same order. So there is no index concept there. So in that case, you cannot extract the specific element. Still, if you want to extract, you need to convert the set into again list collection. Then again, you need to use a get method. Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, that is a one thing, and a list and a set collection. Okay. Next, let me ask some questions from automation. So have you written automation scripts in your in your project? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So all right. So let me ask some questions from Selenium. So what is the different type of locators used in your project? Yeah. What are the different type of locators?
ID, class, ID name, class name, link test, partial link test, tag name, XPath, CSS select.
Okay. So what is the difference between link text and partial link text?
Link test means whenever there is a one text is there, link text, we have to for that some name is there, we have to take mention that full we want to mention full length of the string, whatever the ID name is there, element name. We have to give full mean full XPath, and partial mean we will give some text in that ID element. It will get that.
No, what is an ID? Why ID come into picture? I'm talking about
not
link text and partial link text. In link text and partial link text, why ID come into picture?
And there is a text in there. Whenever inspecting the element, we got some text. We put some
That is a basically linked
in,
text, right? Yeah. So
yes, yes,
whatever you can see in HTML, that is a linked text. Okay. So in the linked
yes,
text, when I use linked text method, you have to provide the complete value of the linked text. But
yes,
when
yes,
you use a partial linked text, you don't need to pass the complete value. You can just pass some portion of the value in the linked text.
yes,
Then it will
yes,
able to identify. So that is a basic
yes.
difference between linked text and partial linked text. Okay. What are
Okay.
the different types of XPaths?
There is two types, sir.
Okay.
Absolute XPath, relative XPath.
Okay. So what is the difference between these two?
In absolute XPath, it start with the HTML code, absolute XPath, and relative XPath, it start with the double slash. And
Okay.
in absolute XPath, it start from root node to that particular node. It will take that element,
Okay.
and in relative XPath, it will take only that child of the that whatever we selected element, it will get.
Yeah, it will directly jump to that element, and based on the
Uh,
attribute you specified, and it will find out the
uh,
element.
yes,
And
yes,
in absolute XPath, which will navigate each and every node, and then finally it will find that element, right? Yeah,
yes,
that's the basic difference. Okay, so and which XPath you will prefer when
uh, relative XPath. I prefer
why relative XPath?
it will find directly because there is this one is changing the XPath. That's why changing that elements. So we prefer for XPath,
Okay,
relative XPath.
okay, if the elements are changing means what is the
Uh,
changing?
Means that inside background of the application, whatever we can you tell me that? Oh, I can't express that.
Okay, no problem. So basically in absolute XPath, you write all the nodes, right? Each and every tag. So it will be very
Okay.
lengthy XPath you will write, right? So
Okay.
in that, each and every tag is representing some element or some object in the
Okay.
web application, right? In your application.
Okay.
So if the developer is added some element or he changed the location of the element, obviously the XPath will be impacted. There are
Okay.
more chances are there. So in that case, your absolute XPath will not be the stable to identify the element, right? So that's the reason we don't prefer to use absolute XPath most of the times. So we always go with the relative XPath, because relative XPath directly use that attribute and jump to that element and find that element. Even though the location is got changed or some other new elements are inserted on the page, it will not impact the XPath. So that's the reason we most of the times we use relative XPath.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Let me just give you a simple scenario. Let's say I have a button. If you want, you can
Yes.
just note down on paper or any notepad. There is a button.
Okay.
So that button ID is a start. So the ID of that button is in HTML. The ID of the button is start. Okay.
Okay.
So when you click on the same button, immediately it turn into stop. The ID of the button is turned into stop. Okay. The same attribute is there, ID, but initially it is a start. And as soon as you
Okay.
click on the start button, it's turned into stop. So that's how the dynamically changing the button attribute is changing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for that, we need to write one XPath, single
Yeah.
XPath, which will able to match that element every time in both the statuses. So
Okay.
how we can write that XPath for that?
Can I write
Yeah,
in? Can I share the screen
yeah.
or
You can
chat
just
box?
take the notepad and I can share. Yeah, I can see. Yeah,
Some
you can take any tag name or input or whatever. Yeah, input.
contains method we can do it.
Okay. And how we can write the complete XPath for that? So let's ID value is the start initially, and after that it turn into stop. Then how we can handle that by using single XPath?
we can do like this.
Okay, so at the rate ID and start. Will it work?
Yes, sir, I can.
Suppose the IDs got changed into stop now. So in that case, what happens? Will it work?
Yes, sir. Contains method, it will work, but
yeah, contains is fine. So you mentioned ID equal to start, right? So this works if the ID value is equal to start. If the ID value is start, this XPath will work. But suppose if the same ID is got changed into stop, then will it work? This XPath work?
Yes, sir. I can say that yes.
How? Because ID is different, right? ID will not match. So if ID is not matched, then how this XPath will identify the element? No, right?
It means it is start yes, yes. Start and stop. Like sir, we are.
Yeah, that is dynamically changing. Yeah, the same. As soon as I click on the start button, the IDs got changed.
Okay, stop.
So in that case, again, I have to use same XPath. Again, I need to click on the same button to stop or start. But I want to use same XPath in all the cases.
I have no idea, sir.
Okay, no problem. So you have used contains method, right? What is the contains method means? We can pass some value, right? We can pass the attribute value, but you don't need to pass the complete value. So you need to identify some common thing in both the attributes. So what is the common thing we have in the start and stop? First two characters are same, right?
Yes.
So in ID, you can just specify ST. And those two characters in the first two characters are same, right? In both the cases, start and stop. Now contains method just will use those first two characters. It will check. It will not check the complete ID, right? So in that case, which will match with the two cases, like either it can be start or it can be start.
Yes.
So other than this, is there any other way to find it? Suppose I don't want to use contains or I don't want to use start with. Is there any way to find?
No, sir.
I don't want to use any XPath functions or XPath methods. Still, I want to write an XPath.
I don't know, sir.
Okay, so do you know? Okay, no problem. So do you know OR end operators? How to use OR? Okay, no problem. So basically in XPath, you can specify multiple attributes. Okay, so instead of using contains method, you can write the same XPath like / input. Okay, and at the rate ID equal to start or at the rate ID equal to stop. Or means what? Either one should be matched, either start or yeah, or operator you can use and which will handle.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So that's how we need to write a dynamic XPath.
Okay, sir.
Okay, do you know about the wait statements? So what are the different waits are available in Selenium?
Waits. There is explicit wait, implicit waits.
Okay.
Influence waits.
Do you know what is the difference between implicit and explicit wait?
In implicit waits, we are using when to finding if at the execution time the element is present means it for the all the test cases it will apply for that. And for the particular element we are using for explicit wait.
Can you just combine implicit wait applicable for all the test cases or all the statements in the
up to end of the test cases it will start.
Yeah, so as soon as the driver is alive, right? So as soon as you created your driver, so till that driver is alive means until unless that driver is closed or quit, till that time implicit wait is available. So that is applicable for all the statements.
Yes.
Right. And explicit wait is specific to that element. So based on the condition, we will wait for that element.
Yes.
Okay, so let's say I have a web element. Okay, so I want to get the text or I want to capture the text from the web element. How to capture? How to capture? Okay, let us say I have a name. Okay, let's say I have some text on my web page. Okay, so I want to capture that. I want to check whether the text is correctly written or not. So how we can capture the text?
Equals method with the help of equals.
No. Before equals, we need to first capture that, right? So how to capture the text from the web page?
Capturing.
Yeah.
With the help of
Okay, no
can you
problem. Yeah, no problem. So do you know get text method? Get text.
yes.
Yeah. So if you want to get any text, or if you want to capture the text from any web element, you can just use get text method. So web element dot get text. So that will give you the text value of the web element. And once you get the text, then you can compare with your expected text.
Yes.
Okay. So similarly, suppose I want to get some attribute value. Let's say I have a button. So that button is having multiple attributes, ID, name, or CSS, whatever. Some attributes are there for that element. So I want to get the value of the ID, or I want to get the value of the name attribute. So how we can get the value of the attributes for that element?
With the help of get attribute method, get I dot get attribute.
Get attribute.
Yes.
So element, what is a whatever web element you want to get the attributes. First, we need to specify that web element dot get attribute of the value. Like if you want to get the value of ID, then you say ID. Or if you want to get the value of the name, then you have to say name. So along with the get attribute method, we can get it. Okay. So let us say in my web page, there is a logo is there. Okay. In my web page, there's logo. So I want to check whether the logo is displayed or not in the web page. How we can check?
If logo is displayed or not.
Yeah.
Is displayed method.
Is displayed. Yeah. So we need to first capture that web element, and then we use conditional method is displayed. So that will give you true if it is available. If it is not available, then it will return false.
Yes.
Okay. So how to handle the drop down?
Handling.
Yeah. So let's say you have a drop down which contains less 100 countries, right? So I want to select a country from the drop down. So how we can write a code?
Okay. With the help of options, tag name as options, and we will take as a get. We calculate with the help of size method, and we'll help of that is get visible method, and give some that
so
name.
Before getting options and using those methods, before getting them, can you directly get those from the drop down? So how we can use get options method? Yeah. So first of all, we need to pass that drop down as a web element into select class, right? And then through select object, we can call other methods. Suppose if you want to get all options from the drop down, we use get options method, right? And then if you want to select any value or option from the drop down, then we can use get visible text, get value, right? Get index. So those methods we will use. There are multiple methods are available. By using, we can select the value. Okay. So do you know about assertions in TestNG?
Yes.
So what are the assertions?
There is two types of assertions.
Okay. What are they?
Assertions means verifying the elements. So
what is just a moment. What is the use of assertions?
To verify the elements.
Elements. What you will verify on elements?
Elements means
Okay. Let me just give the answer. So basically, assertions or the validation. So whenever you write your test case, you should do some kind of validation, right? So how we will do the validations? You will compare something, right? Or whatever you expected, and actually compare it. So how we will compare them? How we can validate them? So by using assertions. So assertions are basically used for validation, to validate something. So how many types of assertions we have?
Hard assertion and soft assertion.
So can you just tell me the difference between hard assertion and soft assertion?
In hard assertions, if element is there, means if element found, means it throws the exception. If the element is not present, means it throws the exception. In soft assertion, if element is not present, means it start execution next test case also. it
Okay.
it's not through the exception. That's the main difference.
Okay. So
For that.
fine. So let me just clarify. So basically, assertions are not only for elements. Okay, you are
Okay.
basically talking about elements.
Conditions.
Yeah.
Conditions.
Assertion is basically taking the expected value and actual value and compare it. If both are
Yes,
exactly
yes.
the same, then assertion will pass. Okay,
Yes,
assertion
yes.
will make my test method pass. If both are not same, then assertion will fail. It's not about the element. Okay, so we will verify like titles of the pages we can verify, or we can verify the text are equal or not, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
not only the elements, we can verify anything by
Okay.
using assertions. So the basic difference is in a hard assertion, right? If matching is not done, let's say in a hard assertion is got failed, immediately exception throws. Because of that, what happens? The next two statements will not be continued. But when I
Yes,
use
yes.
soft assertion, what happens in the soft assertion, even the condition is not matched, even soft assertion got failed, it will not throw any exception, but still it will continue the other statements. Got my point?
Yes, yes.
So that's the basic difference between hard assertion and the soft assertion.
Software.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So you said in your profile you worked on some framework. So what is your role in the framework? What is your contribution towards your framework?
Writing test script, executing test script, and to raise the defects, we compare the expected and actual result, and
Okay.
we found that
What kind of framework you used in your project?
with the page object model with data driven framework regime, and with testing as a
Okay. So what kind of reports you generated in your framework?
extent reports we also with help of HTML reports are available in test
Okay.
engine.
So have you created any reusable components on your framework?
No, sir.
Or do you know anything about reusable components? What the reusable component means?
No, sir. Usable components.
Yeah.
No, sir.
Okay. So what is the
Can you
purpose of
tell?
creating the framework?
Only I think reusable methods means repeatedly again and again. I think.
Yeah. So the main purpose of creating the framework is basically reusability. That's first thing. Second thing is the maintainability. So because in the framework we have so many types of files, right? So we have page object classes, we have a test cases, we have a utility scripts. So utility scripts means what? Sometimes you will work with the properties file and Excel sheets, right? And reports. So for that, we need to write a utility file. So you need to maintain those utility file, log files, properties files, screenshots, reports. So as part of the framework, you need to maintain all the files. So instead of keeping everything in one place, we will create a separate folder structure and we will maintain all the files properly, right?
Yes, yes.
So that's the
Yes.
one purpose. Second thing is reusability. So suppose when you create something in the framework, you should be able to reuse. Let's say page object class. So in the page object model, you create a page object class. So what is the purpose of creating the page object class? Because you will maintain the page related elements in one place, one class. The class is representing on one page. So the same page you are using in multiple test cases means you are basically avoiding the identifying the elements in multiple times. Just you identified the elements only one time, keep them in the page object class, and you're reusing the same class in multiple test cases. That's the kind of reusability you can achieve. But apart from that, there are so many other components also you can create, and you can say reusable methods also create, and you can reuse them in your framework. Okay. So that is another important thing which you need to understand in the framework especially. Okay, main thing is reusability and then maintainability.
Yes.
Okay, and do you face any challenges while writing automation scripts?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so can you just tell me what are the challenges you face, at least two challenges?
Whenever we are executing, sir, we will some exception. Whenever we are executing, sometimes it's not executing. Some is through some exceptions. We will challenges. It will happen. So we want to using some try catch box
Okay.
For finding elements. So sometimes it's not taking that elements means we go through that.
Okay.
But how to gain knowledge that That's it, sir.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. So I'm done with my side. So I have just asked some basic questions because you mentioned almost 3+ years of experience. And I have
Okay,
asked some questions on manual testing and few questions from my jail and then Java and Selenium. And you answered well related to manual testing concepts. Most of them you have answered properly. But when you come
okay,
to Java and automation, you need to prepare well. Okay, because you put
okay,
almost 3+ years of experience means people will expect more, right? So
okay, sir.
you should able to write your own logic. And
Okay, sir.
it's not like suppose in Java most of the people will remember the code, because in interview most of the times what happens is same kind of questions will be asked, same kind of programs will be asked, so people will
Okay,
prepare only those type of programs, regular
okay,
programs. But somebody if asks anything new, right, they will not able to
okay,
write the code. So we
okay,
need to prepare programming in that particular aspect. So whatever the
okay,
problem statement they are giving, we should able to frame the logic, and accordingly we need to put it into the code. So that kind of
okay,
logic we need to improve at the programming side. And apart from that, so especially from practical questions, right, you need to prepare well, especially in Selenium. There are a lot of things are there, but still I have not asked, I have all those things, because I've just asked some basic questions from automation, because you should prepare well. Okay, you need to
okay,
prepare more, and especially related to the framework and writing automation script, and related to test ng, right, how we can achieve the
okay,
parallel testing. So there are a lot of things are there, how we can maintain the page object classes, right? So just prepare well, and that's fine, because 3+ years is very huge actually. 3+ years of means you're as a senior, right? You need to,
okay,
you will be considered as a senior engineer. 3+ years of
okay,
experience means, so you need to learn a lot. Okay.
okay, sir.
All right, so thanks for attending the interview. So I'll upload this soon. Okay,
Okay,
and if possible, again prepare well, and if possible, I'll take another type of another mock interview soon. Okay.
okay,
All
sir.
right.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thanks Sanju, thanks you very much for attending the interview. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir.